Well, it's been a while since I've made a video, at least a video about my hiking adventures. But I've got some really big hiking news. But before that, I want to sort of bring everybody up to date on my AT status and from my hike from this year. And those of you that have been watching my videos, you know that I had to cut it short because of some unexpected personal business that came up that required my immediate attention. So I had to leave the trail at I think it was around mile 530. I think the town that I left from was Marion, Virginia, and but I got my way through the Smokies, so I feel good about that. But the question is, when can I get back on the trail? Part of the reason it's actually good that I had to leave the trail is actually because of these two girls right here. A couple months before I started the trail, I had sort of been fostering these couple of pups for a while, and I told the people that I that had rescued them that I wouldn't be able to adopt them, even though I really would like to, and I was indeed intending to adopt another dog. I had another dog that had passed away just before I moved to San Miguel de Allende, and I always knew that I would be adopting another dog, but I figured it didn't make sense that I really should wait until after I hiked the Appalachian Trail. But I had been fostering these two, and I'd had them for a few weeks, and they were the last two of a litter that was rescued, and they had been together their whole, young lives, and were really close to one another. And, I was getting kind of close to them. And when toward the end of my last agreement to foster them, I actually did it on two different occasions for a few days each time. And the woman who had rescued them told me she had somebody to adopt one of them. And I thought, oh man, they were so close. By then, I thought, boy, it's a shame that they'll be separated. And she told me a little bit about the guy that was wanting to adopt one of them. She said he didn't even say which one. And she said that his intentions were not really to even take it home with him, but was going to have it at his place of business to use as a guard dog. And I thought, I don't really know if that's the life I want for either one of them. And so I was just getting ready to actually leave for Australia and New Zealand. I was going to spend about a month and a half hiking through, doing some little day hikes in Australia and New Zealand, and before I headed back to Atlanta to begin the Appalachian Trail. And I had somebody that was going to be doing some house sitting for me, and I messaged her and I said, hey, can you how would you like to have a couple of pups with you? And at that time they were indeed little pups, and I sent a picture, and she thought they were really, really cute, and she agreed. She said, yeah, that sounded like fun. And I was going to pay her some money to take care of things. And the problem was she really wasn't a dog person, and didn't really know how to bring up a couple of pups, and they were crazy pups. And so, as I said, it's actually a good thing that I got called off the trail, because when I got home, they were crazy. they were absolutely wild. And they had no, hardly any training at all, and couldn't really even walk them without them going crazy. And they had actually done quite a bit of damage to that house I was in at that time, and I had to, pay quite a bit of money to get all that fixed. So it's really been good that I've been able to be here with them. And so the next question was, when can I get back on the AT, and how can I get back on the AT? And to be perfectly honest, at this point, I knew pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to get back on the AT this year. So I was thinking about, okay, 2025. And then I got to thinking, I wouldn't want to be leaving them for, 4 or 5 months at a time. Especially since they're still kind of young. And at that point, when I was first thinking about it, they still, weren't settled in yet. And I was really concerned about them. They've made some great strides. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, but what I decided was, when I get back on the trail, I'm not going to be able to, at least in 2025, I figured I really wouldn't be good for me to do a whole through hike. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just go back and do, a few sections here and there and not leave them for more than a couple weeks at a time, and find somebody who really is a dog person that can keep them under control. And so that's was sort of my plan going back, and maybe not even because I've been thinking, I really would kind of like to do the whole thing in one run. And so I was thinking, if I go back and do some shorter 1-2 week hikes, maybe rather than going back to the AT right away, maybe do something like the John Muir Trail or something like that. Or maybe a really short little trip to the Grand Canyon and do rim to rim, something like that. So those were my plans. Now we're getting into the big news. I was online the other day and just happened to see something about Mont Blanc, the Tour du Mont Blanc in the Alps. And that's a hike, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. It's a hike that goes through France, in the Alps, in France, Italy, and Switzerland. It's actually a loop. And I just checked into it, and really haven't really done any research or planning yet. All I've done is I've made the decision that I'm going to do it, and I'm not really sure what all it's entailed is going to be, part of what I'm going to be doing, my planning, where I'm going to be staying, but I'm going to be, doing it in, mid-June. I'll be, probably leaving San Miguel de Allende, probably around, June 9th or 10th, maybe the 11th. Plan to start hiking, I think on the 12th, and, be out there for, 10 days, hiking through the Alps. So yeah, I'm not really sure exactly whether I'm going to be able to do the entire loop of the, Tour, de Mont Blanc, or, exactly how I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to have to do some research to see, what all, I'm going to be able to do. But yeah, so for those of you that don't really know anything, haven't heard of that one, it's from what I understand, it's a fairly demanding trail through the Alps, some serious ascents, and in fact, the altitude I think is significantly higher. The maximum altitude is significantly higher than the Appalachian Trail. The maximum peak on the Appalachian Trail I think is around 6,200 feet at Clingman's Dome. Which I did through the Smokies, and I'm not really sure. Here again, I got to do my research, but I think the highest point on Mont Blanc, Tour de Mont Blanc, is over 8,000 feet, I think. So it's significantly higher, and the hiking terrain I think is actually going to be a little bit more like the PCT. As opposed to the AT. The AT is a lot more, the green tunnel and wilderness type of hiking. And actually, it's a lot more like, in 2023, I did the Camino de Santiago, and it's actually going to be a lot more like that in that it's not through the wilderness like the AT is, although it is some pretty serious hiking through the mountains. I won't necessarily, in fact, I'm going to have to do my research and planning to decide whether or not I'm going to be carrying my tent. I know that they do tent on the Tour de Mont Blanc. The TMB is what they call it, and so I'm not sure if I'll need to be bringing my tent, or they do have places like hostels, or really more like albergues on the Camino de Santiago. And so I'm going to be looking into that. I think that I can go much lighter than I did on the AT. On the AT, I was carrying, between 25 and 30 pounds the whole way, depending upon how much of a food supply I had. And here, especially if I'm not going to be camping, I won't have to carry my tent. And I won't necessarily have to have a sleeping bag. I'll probably carry at least a liner. But just those two things. And in addition, food will be much more plentiful. So I don't think I'll have to be carrying that much food. So I ought to be able to reduce my weight, my base weight by, I'm thinking 5 pounds or more. So that will lighten things up for me. However, like I said, from what little research I've done about hiking through this section of the Alps, I'm going to be doing some serious climbing, I think. So that's my big news. So that also means that 2025 AT is still out. So that maybe 2026 is when I will head back to the AT. And these girls have been doing so much better. If I can find somebody that I could trust them with for a few months in a row, maybe I'll go ahead and consider the entire through hike of the AT for 2026. So that should bring you pretty much up to date on what's happening for me and my pups here. So I'm really looking forward to heading to Europe. I'll be flying into Geneva, Switzerland airport, but actually starting the hike in France. I can't remember the name of the town, but my hike will start there. So yeah, that's it. I think that's pretty exciting news, and stay tuned for more updates about my planning for the TMB.